Welcome to this episode where we're going to be talking about moves that you can make now if you want to fully recalibrate yourself inside the next 3 months so that you can achieve this doesn't make sense level growth in 2024. I am super excited to dive straight into this episode, and I'm going to be truthfully honest with you. I'm recording this. If you're one of my loyal listeners who listens to the episodes on the day that they go out every Monday, I'm recording this on the Monday that it's going out. So I'm actually recording this having already written this content before the weekend, but having had the most groundbreaking weekend of my entire life. So this episode is going to hit different. I've also just had a coffee, so we are in for a wild ride in this episode. Oh my God, it's all going off. So I'm going to go through the post first, and then I'm going to talk about what happened this weekend so that you can literally see me taking the steps that I'm going to talk about in this podcast episode. Like, I don't just give you tips that I don't do. I give you strategies that I actively do that have worked for me, that have really helped shape the woman that I've become, but also the business that I have now, and my thought processes and the way I make decisions, and just all the levels of expansiveness. And every time I open my mind or discover something, I very much share my way of doing things with you. Now, what I'm not saying is you have to do it my way. There's lots of ways to grow a successful business. I'm just sharing with you probably some ways that you've never thought about doing things, or some things that you didn't realize that were even possible, available, because some of the most expansive business growth activities have happened not inside the business. So this is going to be a little bit alternative, and I love that. I'm very off the wall, outside of the box, doesn't like to colour inside the lines, doesn't like to do what she's been told to do. All my school reports would have, doesn't listen in class, talks over the teacher. I wasn't an unruly child by any means. I was just bored and felt constrained. A lot of school, and I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast as an entrepreneur, you are probably also someone whose school reports either said things like, talks too much, is too bossy, doesn't pay attention in class, isn't going to do as well as she could do. I got that in a school report. We're going on a little off trail here, but one of the first times where I realised quite how driven I am when I want to be is one of my teachers told my mum at a parents' evening. Bear in mind, I was a clever student, A's and B's when I wanted to apply myself. The key difference being at that end point. And my PE teacher, I'd taken PE in year 10 and 11, so our GCSEs, so when you can choose your options. So I'd taken it on, then realised that it was 75% theory. Good, wonderful, love that for me. And so my teacher was trying to encourage my mom that I needed to take it more seriously. I needed to participate more in class. I needed to put my hand up. I needed to stop talking too much. And so she told my mom, Sarah's going to get a D in this class. She doesn't hand in her homework on time. She's not trying hard enough. She's falling behind. She's going to get a D. And A to C was what I needed in order to get into the college I wanted to go to. Do you know what happened next? Because my mom told me that, and my mom knew I was really good at physical theory, the theory behind PE. So I was just going to smash this out of the park. As a 2 fingers up to that teacher, I went and got an A star in that. I got as good a grade as you can possibly get in that. But anyway, Miss Anslow, if you're listening, haha. I was capable of it all along. I just wasn't paying attention. But anyway, that's a little off-cut. My point here, in fact, I don't even know how we got onto that point. So I'm just going to come back into moves that you can make now if you want to fully recalibrate yourself. For my bossy women, my outspoken women, my women who were told that they were too much or not enough, or just not playing by the rules, and now you find yourself in entrepreneurship building your own rules. That's where we were. Yes. I love that for you. I love that for us. Awesome. Okay, let's get into it. Moves that you can make now if you want to fully recalibrate yourself inside the next 3 months, because you want 2024 to be your quantum year. I'm going to come back to that phrase at the end of this podcast. So, number one, I would get super fucking clear on who your next level self is. What does she look like? What does her business model look like? What does she dress like? How does she spend her time? Who does she hang around? Who does she spend her time with? How does she talk to herself when no one else is around? What are her goals and desires? The reason why this is so important, and I want you to get as expansive as fuck with this. Like if you were to write out your at least $1 million business per year, not total revenue, $1 million per year. If you were to draw out the business model of how your business would bring in $1 million or £1 million in a year, do this exercise, by the way. It's really, really eye-opening. Really eye-opening. What offer suite would you need? Where would your time be spent? So that you can really, really map this out, because likely there wouldn't be either any or very, very few one-to-one clients. So there has to be scalable offers, multiple scalable offers. Maybe there's books, maybe there's YouTube, maybe there's a podcast, maybe there's in-person events, maybe there's tickets to stuff, maybe there's merchandise, maybe you have, you do a products business on the side, maybe you only do luxury VIP retreats in Greece. You know, you can do anything, but if you were to map out what your $1 million business per year looks like, literally put that down, because then you've got your business model. And then when you see it on paper, it literally changes the way that you think, because when you're looking at your future $1 million business, you then have the thought process of, okay, well, how would I spend my time? How do I need to move in order to make that happen? Who do I need to get around? Who do I need to associate with? If I know that my network is my net worth, where are there possible gaps in my network now that will help me to build out this transformation? If I can see my £1 million business right in front of me, but I know that I don't have the contacts right now to help me to build that, how do I get those contacts? Where do I need to insert myself? Where do I need to be where people who will either have this thing already, I'll be able to either learn from them directly, or be in collectives, be in groups, be in circles where these people are in? Have a think about this. Get out your pen and paper, get out your phone, get out your notes app. Write out your $1 million business, and then look around who has that, or who has either the lifestyle or the business that you aspire to have. And how can you get around more of these people? P.S. I'm not actually, I'm a business coach, I'm a business mentor. I'm not saying you have to join masterminds or go to and physically be around these people. Yes, of course, that will help. Of course. But that's not the only option. Think bigger. Think outside the box. What are the other ways that you can learn directly from people who have done the things that you want to do? How can you get inside circles or just be in places where those people are? I'm going to leave that one with you. You need to think outside the box, because if your network currently aren't the people who are going to help you to get to those places, and it's absolutely fine. We can acknowledge if you don't have those people in your network, but it is your duty to go and get those people in your network. So where can you be? Where can you get yourself? Where can you insert yourself where those people are? So number one is get super fucking clear on who your next level self is. What are her goals and desires? What does her business model look like? What does she dress like? Who does she spend her time with? Okay. Number two is getting super fucking clear on your 6-month goals. Now, I'm recording this in February, so your 6 months goals are going to be end of June, July. Where do you want to be by that point? What do you want to have achieved by that point? And I'm talking about your physical milestones. What have you launched? What is already in play? How many people are you signing into your membership? How many people are you signing into your mastermind? How many people, high ticket clients, have you signed by this point? What is your business making? How many clients do you serve at one time? Where are you in the world? Whatever it is that your goals are by June, July, Get super, super clear on those. What do you want to have achieved by that point? Anything that is measurable, metrics, or clear. Don't just be like, I want to sign some clients. No, get clear, get a number to it. So whether it's like, I want to be signing, or I will have signed 5 high ticket clients per month. And and how I'm going to do that is, this is also important. We're not just throwing up goals for the sake of it. We are getting clear on how those steps happen. What do you need to be doing now in order to make that your reality in June, July? If you've got a goal that is 6 months away, what action do you need to be taking right now? What do you need to have in place? What steps can you do today to chip away at that iceberg so that it's not such a huge, and I hope that you have stretched it, and I hope it is an overwhelming goal. But what can you be doing today to chip away at that iceberg so it's not so overwhelming? Because by the time you've divided it by 6 and you've taken action every single month, you're already like 90% of the way there. The big goals happen in your small daily actions. So what are you doing today to move yourself closer to that massive goal that you've got at the half-year point? I also just want to remind you at this point that anything is possible. Anything is possible. And in business, you can grow rapidly. And so those goals that you've got in 6 months' time don't have to take 6 months. Things can change in a heartbeat when you decide. We're going to come more to this towards the end of the episode when I tell you about the fucking crazy weekend. But I just want to remind you at this point, I also want to remind you that it's a leap year. So literally anything is possible. So just because the average person might take it 6 months, you could do this in 3 months, you could do it in 2 months, you could do it in 1 month. Like if you either launched something different or brought a different energy to what you're selling or just recalibrated yourself and got yourself on the true aligned path so that you're in full flow state and everything is always working out for you, and you really have that mindset of everything is working out for me, and you allow yourself to be in your best energy every single day in full flow. There's no reason why you couldn't double, triple, 5x or even 10x your results by next month. Literally anything is possible. So it doesn't have to take you 6 months. Okay, number 3, I would do whatever it takes to get physically in the room with people who have either taken massive action and built at least 6, if not multi-6, if not 7-figure businesses. Yes, I want to get virtually in the room with those people because just being in those conversations alone will be really, really expansive for my mind, for my ideas, for my inspiration, for my business. Plus content ideas, But not just virtually. Virtually is one step and it is really powerful. So yes, do that as well. But when you get physically in the room, when you get physically in the conversation, this is why live events are so, so powerful, is that when you're virtually in the room, you're still in your own room. So you are still subject to distractions. You might have an email pop up, your phone might go off. Someone in the house might call you for something. You might get distracted by something. So even though you're in the Zoom room and you might be engaged in the conversation, you're still physically present elsewhere and liable to distractions in your current environment. Whereas when you're physically in the room, you're not subject to any other distractions. You are there. Phone is away. You're in either a crowd or a group of people who are all leaning in. So it wouldn't serve you to be paying any attention to any distractions, being on your phone or being on social media. It would be a disservice to you to do that. So you lean in, and that means you're fully present in the conversation. For that time, whether it's a day, a week, even an hour, you are soaking in that conversation. So that same conversation, imagine the same conversation happened once virtually and once in person. You would hear it differently at the in-person event than you would virtually because you would just digest it on such a deeper level. And this is why it's a non-negotiable. If you're truly looking to recalibrate, I'm not just talking about steady growth here. If you want to wildly recalibrate and wildly change your results in 2024, getting to in-person events has to be a non-negotiable for you so that you can get physically in the room and be super present, not distracted, and you are around all the people who are either doing what you want to do, have what you want to have, or who are all taking massive action so you feel that fire physically because you're in the room. So if you're not already, you should absolutely be prioritizing this, whether it's in-person masterminds, in-person VIP days, in-person retreats, or all of the above. Doing whatever it takes and however far it is that it requires you to go, so be it. The cost of not being at those events is far, far greater than the cost of going. Far greater. And this is why I myself am going on a frankly ridiculous flight plan this year, but the expansiveness and the business growth that I will get from that is wild. For context, I'm going from Bali to LA, back to Bali to the Seychelles, for which I'll probably have to go to Dubai and then down, Seychelles to the UK. Not quite sure about my summer plans yet. Might pop to Portugal for a little bit. We'll see. Back to Bali and then to Florida and then back to Bali. Like, the flight plan makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. But all of the places that I'll be at and the shifts that will happen because of that are going to be monumental. So this is a non-negotiable. If you're looking to not just grow, but rapidly grow, rapidly expand yourself, it has to be in-person events and doing whatever it takes to get yourself in the room. Number 4, I would put down the launch planner and look within. And this is me telling you this as you guys know me. I'm very much about like the steps, the action, like, yeah, cool. You're saying Mercury's in retrograde. Like, yeah, cool. But what are the steps? What are you doing? What action have you taken? However, I'm going to give you this not contradictory, complementary advice. The strategy can only get you so far. The strategy is not 100% of the way forward. If the strategy alone was 100% of the way forward, then everybody would have $1 million businesses just from books that they've read from Waterstones. If you're not from the UK, Waterstones is our biggest bookshop. Is Waterstones global? I don't know. But anyway, it's a popular bookstore. The answers are already out there. All the strategies are out there. There's multiple ways of getting yourself to $1 million business. So if it was only based on strategy and you implemented in the strategy, everyone would already have $1 million business, but they don't. And so this is where you know it's not about just the strategy. This is where it comes into you, your relationship to yourself, your self-belief, your mindset, your leadership, your ability to get shit done and hold yourself accountable. Yes, to be accountable to other people, but to hold yourself accountable. And that is a conversation not many people want to have. And this is why not many people have $1 million businesses. Whoosh! But if you truly want to recalibrate the business, you're going to have to step away from the launch planner. Of course, you still need the launch planner. Don't be like, right, strategy out the window. I'm just going to flow through the year. No, we still need the launch planner. Like, what are you bringing out? What is your 3, 6, 9, however you like to plan your launches? I've actually planned the entire rest of the year. I did that this weekend. I've never been so planned and prepped in my entire life. I'll come to this weekend in a while. But you need to put down the launch planner. You need to have a conversation with yourself. Stand in front of the mirror and take a long, hard look at yourself and stay there until you see what comes up. Look at yourself dead in the eye and see her. Because if you truly want to achieve this doesn't make sense level growth, you need to truly see yourself. You need to be your biggest cheerleader, your number one cheerleader, to have your own back and to be able to look at yourself in the mirror, dead on in the eye to eye contact, and really have her back. No doubts, no self-limiting talk. You're like, I have got you. Be her biggest cheerleader because she is yours. Are you hers? Whoosh! So where have you been either playing small, holding back, killing your own potential? Where have you been putting the brakes on when you've been trying to put the accelerator on? Where have you been trying to speed up but still holding back? And why? No amount of strategy can outwork your subconscious beliefs about your potential. So if there's anything, whether it's a doubt, a fear, And it's okay to have those things, but you need to acknowledge that those things are coming up and they are stopping you from being 100%. They're stopping you from being all in. You say you want to be all in, but if you're still subconsciously holding the brake whilst trying to accelerate, you're not truly all in. There's something cock-blocking you. Okay, number 5. I would treat myself how my 7-figure self would treat herself. I truly didn't know how expansive this was until I started, A, getting outside of the UK, but B, doing the things that my higher self loves to do. Whether it is booking a trip, whether it is doing an impulsive weekend away somewhere, like whether it is booking a beautiful facial, whether it's going to a really nice restaurant. And what I'm not saying is go put yourself into debt, trying to live the lifestyle that your 7-figure self would have whilst you're not doing that kind of cash. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that you need to get used to these nice experiences, even if you book it like once every month, or something smaller once every week, or something big once every 2 months, or you have on your goals planner. The first time I did this, it was a once a quarter thing. I was like, once a quarter, I'm going to book something really like indulgent and luxury for myself. So you can work out the frequency and work out the budget and all of that. But this is about getting yourself into either an environment, a style of environment, a building or a feeling that is where your higher self would be, where she would hang out, how she would feel. Like, is she in a robe in the spa? Is she in a natural, what is it, those walks, National History Walk? No? You get what I mean. those nice walks out in the countryside that you have to have a membership before you can go on the walk. But wherever it is that your 7-figure self, how would she treat herself? Where would she go? Because you need to normalize these environments for yourself. So even if it's only a once every now and again thing, and you start increasing the frequency as the business starts to grow so that you can feel that feeling more often and it starts to become normal. So you start to acclimatize your state to this new way of being. It's not something that's daunting to you, it's something that's normal to you. You start recalibrating because you're either booking, doing, or experiencing the things that the past version of you never would have. So think about what that looks like for you. Number 6, I'd book experiences that expand my mind and my energy, not just my business. This for me has been one of the single biggest things that I've ever done for my business. And now I prioritize these things. Like, yes, all the books and masterminds and strategy, all of that stuff is good and it's eye-opening. But sometimes some of the biggest eye-opening things that I've experienced have been outside of the business, me doing things that are going to expand my energy or expand my mindset. These are invaluable, priceless. There's no amount of good. Like, it's just endless. So in order to truly recalibrate yourself to a significantly higher level, not just a higher level, remember, we're talking about significantly higher level. So you're going to have to do things that analyze why you do things the way that you do them. Because currently you might be growing at a steady rate, but if future you want to grow at rocket ship rate, then you need to be really self-aware about how are you doing things. Why do you move in the way that you do? Why do you think in the way that you do? Why do you feel in the way that you do? So that you can see what's helpful, what either needs to shift, like just really heighten your self-awareness and have compassion for who you are and why you do things the way that you do. There's so much self-learning to do and just compassion about either the way that you were brought up, what you learned, who you learned it from, why that happened, and how that can help you on your journey. So in order to do that, you're going to need to explore experiences that either open your mind or challenge your way of thinking or explore your thoughts in a way that you never have before. Things that allow you to reflect on past patterns or behaviors or why you do things the way that you do. And understanding your body and energy in a way that you never have. These things are incredibly, incredibly helpful. So whether this is breath work and being able to relieve stress from the body, whether this is learning about your past self or inner child healing, whether this is going to a new experiences that allow you to hear things in a way that you never have, or have visions in a way that you never have, or go into a dreamlike state and see what comes up for you, because everybody's going to experience that differently. There's so many ways of exploring this, so I'd wholeheartedly encourage you to explore this. Because when you expand your level of self-awareness and that expands, so will your business. Whoosh! So we covered there 6 things that are going to help you to really, really quantum leap in 2024. You can heighten your self-awareness, treat yourself how your future self would be treated, get clear on who your next level self is, get clear on your 6 months goals and start taking action for them now, and do whatever it takes to get physically in the room with 6, multi-6 or 7-figure business owners and massively prioritize that in 2024. Your massive recalibration is coming. So exciting. And so I want to just recap a little thing that happened this weekend, because the fact that I wrote this out, this post, and I posted it last week, and then went on to have the weekend that I had is just wild. Because I'm recalibrating whilst helping you to recalibrate. And that obviously wasn't part of the plan, but we're here now. And so I've been feeling a little bit of friction within my own business. And that hasn't worried me at all. I think when I was earlier in business and I felt friction, it would be frustrating, it would be annoying, it would seem to be a sign that something was wrong. And I saw it as a bad thing because everything wasn't going as I wanted it to go. Newbie entrepreneurship frustration of like, why isn't everything going perfectly for me? Whereas now, a good few seasons into business, seasoned entrepreneur, again, everyone will experience this differently. Maybe for you, you have constantly been in flow season, and I love that for you. I hope that long may it continue. That has not been my story. My story has been very seasonal, with growth and flow, followed by a season of friction. Then growth and flow, and now a season of friction, but it feels very different to the last season of friction. The last one was a plateau season that lasted far too long and was far too annoying. Before then, I could hit the runway. And then, because this was the spa day that changed everything, and then obviously the move to Bali, and so it literally changed my life. And the next year after that, I was just in flow every single day. Every single day felt like magic. I was just like my happier self. Nothing could possibly go wrong. Not that anything's going wrong now, but just like every day was a 10 out of 10 day, consistently. So part of me knew, and that's why I was enjoying it. I knew that I wasn't going to be in that state forever. So I was fully enjoying being in flow state. I can't remember where the friction started to come in. I'd say I was slightly aware of it a few months ago. And this time it just feels entirely different. This time it felt like an awareness that things weren't as smooth as I thought that they could be. An awareness that I wasn't quite being what I was capable of being. So it was more a level of a self-awareness and thinking, like there's a gap. So it wasn't anything like fear or worry or doubt. It was more of I'm aware that there's a gap. So how do I just get myself back on track? What needs to change? And sometimes that will be obvious for you. And sometimes you just need to sit with it for a little while. And that's been my case. I haven't been rushing it. I haven't been trying to do things like radical things or wildly change anything. I've just been sitting with it for a while. And since I'd say the last 5 weeks, I've been moving, like really diving into research, study, being in the business. It helps that I'm going through a platform move. So this has really allowed me to be in the business. You know when you're cleaning your room or any room and you clean one shelf, and to do that you have to take all the stuff off the shelf. And then when you've cleaned one shelf or taken a load of stuff off or you've unboxed some stuff, it kind of opens the rabbit hole. Is that the right? Opens the can of worms, I think is the phrase. Or you go down the rabbit hole. My skill is mixing up phrases. But once you do one thing and you create more mess than you planned, and in order to clean up that mess, you have to keep on creating mess before the full clean can happen. Do you know what I mean? When you start just doing a little bit of cleaning and then you realise, dear God, this whole place needs cleaning. That's kind of what this platform move has allowed. Because there's things that I do not want to bring over. There's things that either I'm bringing over and changing. There's things that I'm not bringing over at all. It's really allowed me to start spring cleaning the entire business. So it's been really helpful, but it no doubt has created a lot of work, but it's all good. It's all good. And so between doing a lot of research, doing a lot of like inner work as well, being really in the business, and looking at all these different puzzle pieces, and there's so much that I either want to change, edit, refine, improve, streamline. And so there's been all these different puzzle pieces. And at the weekend, it just clicked on such a deep level that I was in flow state for genuinely like 12 hours straight. Could have been a lot longer, but this was already like the early hours of the morning and I wanted to get up for my facial. So, but I could have happily done like another 4 hours. That's 16 hours. Like, that's insane. And yet I was so excited. I could have happily not slept. I was that excited. And so this is what it feels like when you have been feeling that friction and you can feel like, imagine a train or a track. And this is what I mean when you're holding the brake down, when you're trying to go forwards. And I've actually felt what this feels like. There was a time when I was driving on my moped and I hadn't realised that where in the last car park that we'd been at, one of the attendants had moved my bike and he'd flicked on, and I hadn't realised this, the front brake, it's like a switch that you can flick on, and so it just stays on, you don't have to hold it down. And so he'd flicked that on by accident and I hadn't realised that it was on. So I'd come to get on my bike and been like, this is stiff, but it was dark. I didn't even know that I had this switch on that bike. And so I'm behind my friends and we're driving and I'm like, why is my bike so heavy? Like, why is it so stiff? It normally drives so smooth. We're getting onto a dual carriageway. My bike is still really heavy and I'm like trying to floor it at this point, and my bike is just resisting going. And I'm like, what is going on? Because I didn't even know I had this switch. And it was only when we pulled up at the next place, thankfully it was only a couple of minutes away and I wasn't just in this place for too long, but I could feel that resistance. I was trying to get the bike to go so much faster and I could feel it pulling me back. And I'm like, what is happening? And it was only when I got to the next place that then I could like smell that things weren't wrong. And I was like, uh-oh, what is happening here? And I had some people, I asked them for the help and they were help looking over the bike and we found this switch and the bike just worked magically after that. Miracle. Switch the brake off and it will go. But I can still feel that experience, and business has felt a little bit like that. Like I've been trying to sprint, but that there's been something like a resistance. And I'm like, and this is why I really want to encourage you to, if you feel any kind of resistance, where is the brake? Where are you either holding yourself back, or what is stopping you from being all out? What needs to change? What do you need to implement? What do you need to fix? There's something that isn't going. If it was in flow state, you would rocket ship forward. So what is that for you? I'm going to leave that question with you. But I realised what that was for me this weekend. And when it clicked, I was like, oh my God. Like, I was happy dancing around the room. I was punching the air. I was dancing for myself, cheering for myself. Like, I was calling friends at home and like, woohoo, this is the best day ever. And so I'd got a facial booked the next day anyway. Like, I'm in a big build season, obviously, because of this platform move. So we are putting in the graft right now. We are putting in the hours. And so I'd wanted to have this day to just be completely away from screens, away from like social media, away from like the work environment. I was just like, no, let's have a full switch off day, self-care, 7-figure self, let's go, beautiful facial. And I drove to, the place was in a place of the part of the island I've never been to before. So I was just like, whoop, day trip, drove over there and had my facial, and I was just using that time to really anchor in all of the realizations and breakthroughs from the day before. And they're really trying to normalize it in my nervous system, being like, okay, well, what would that look like? Okay, what would that look like? And just allowing these thoughts to pass through to normalize things that should not be normal and are not normal to 99% of people. This is what I mean. You need to normalize. If you want to massively grow, you need to look at what that looks like for you. And in reality, if you were there now, what do you need to either have in place? What mindset do you need? Like, what do you need to normalize for you now in order for that massive growth to not be a shock to you? So that's what I was doing while I was in the facial. And then I drove to a little beachside cafe, pulled out my planner that I bought the other day from the Pyramids of Chi, which is the place where I had the light, sound and vibration healing session a couple of weeks ago, which now makes so much more sense, because in that session, we're just going on a roller coaster in this podcast episode, but in that session, one of the visions that I was having in amongst all of the kaleidoscope of colours was going so fast forwards that it felt like G-force. And how much you will feel this in your body, because you've got light, like strobe light coming at you, which gives you these like crazy visions. You've got sounds moving, so it really trips you out. You lose all sense of reality. Then you've got the floating waterbed underneath you, which is feeling the vibration. So you're literally feeling in your body. One of the visions that I was having was, imagine picturing a small black dot that's quite far ahead of you, and then just colours whooshing at you. It literally felt like I was going 100 miles an hour towards this black dot. Like, I was calm. It was kind of terrifying, but kind of exciting. But there was no way of me moving. And I just remember thinking, okay, normalize this. You are being prepared for growth. That's what it felt like. I didn't know how to properly explain it. I didn't know what was on the other side. All I could feel that I was whooshing so fast, so far forward, that it felt like the G-force when you're at the start of the rocket roller coaster. Have you been on those ones where it goes from like 0 to 60 in like a second, and you just go from a standing start and then poof? That's what it felt like whilst I'm just lying down. It felt like hurtling through space, through time, through light and sound, into the distance at literally lightning speed. Anyway, and so I bought this beautiful planner when I was at that place after the session, and it's got all these, it's like a moon planner, so it tells you all the new moons. I liked it because I'm not a particularly astrology person, wouldn't have said, but it was a beautiful design and I wanted a new planner, so I got one. Anyway, so I pull up at this beach cafe, pull out my new moon planner as I want to plan for the week and just digest everything that happened yesterday. And pull it out, and at the start, it's got all of the moons for all of 2024. And I saw like new moon, quarter moon, full moon, or whatever all the names are. And I was just like, I wonder what February's are. Looked, and it said February 10th, new moon. And I was like, what? That was yesterday. Oh my God, I had a huge breakthrough in my business yesterday. So I look up what new moons are a signal or a sign of, and it literally said breakthroughs and new beginnings. And I was like, whoa. I've had one of the biggest breakthroughs, arguably of my entire business, and I did it on a new moon. Again, I'm not a huge astrology person, but I like cool little signs from the universe. I was like, ooh, that's cool. Love, cute coincidence. Anyway, so I'm writing in my journal, and I was going through all of the realizations from yesterday, my thought processes. I'm writing up what I was thinking in the facial. And one of the things that I wrote was, this is my quantum leap year. And when I saw those words written on the page, this is my quantum leap year, I meant it as in quantum leap, because this is one of the words, I don't even particularly like this phrase. I think it's overused in the coaching space. People will do like a marginal thing that was bigger than last month, and they'll be like, whoop, quantum leap. It's crazy. But I was just like, whatever, we've written it down. But when I saw the words quantum leap, I meant the year of my quantum leap. But when I saw quantum leap year, and I was just like, leap year, just out of curiosity, when is the next leap year? Get out Google, 1 second later, leap year 2024. And I'm like, oh my God, I've had a massive business breakthrough on a new moon, on a leap year. Like, what? Because now there's too many coincidences. And now I'm joining dots all over the place, from the light, sound and vibration session to things that I've been researching, to opportunities that I was contacted for completely out of the blue, to there's just so many things. I'm drawing dots literally all over the sky of seemingly unaligned, like not unaligned, what's the word? Things that seem to have no relevance to each other that are linking up all over the place. If you've ever watched Prison Break, or a really good series where they can link stuff from season 2 that happened in season 5, and then season 4 brings up something that was in season 1, you know, all the intricacies that like you really love if you're a series fanatic. This is what it's been like in my brain over the last few weeks. There are links all over the place, and I'm like, oh my God, everything is coming together. So the fact that this happened, new moon, then on a leap year, I was just like, oh my God. So then I needed somewhere, well, selfishly, I was really enjoying my day, and I didn't want to return just home. I was like, let me just enjoy this day in this new environment, in this new part of town that I've never been before. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to go to a salon and get my nails done. And so in the salon, had a wonderful hand massage, and I was just like, oh, I need to pop to the toilet. Mother Nature has arrived. I'm just like, really? Like, and then I was like, wait a minute. Wait a freaking minute. Day one of a new cycle. My cycle. On a new moon. On a leap year. Like, by this point, I literally said out loud, okay, universe, I hear you. I was like, we don't need any more signs. I hear you. I've got you. I see. Oh my gosh. By this point, I'm basically laughing at myself because there's so many signs that I was just genuinely blown away. And after that, I drove home with a playlist in my ear, and the way I felt a different energy in my body, like the connectivity to, and I don't know how to explain this, and I appreciate that to some of you, this is going to sound absolutely batshit crazy, and to some of you, you're going to be like, woo! But the fact that I've been using the Beyonce song, Bigger, to celebrate launching the retreat, that song hits me different. It has been mind-blowing to be on this journey. Before I really knew about how I was gonna recalibrate whilst launching the recalibration retreat, I just picked that song literally in like 5 minutes. And now when I listen to that song, I'm like, holy shit. Because the words are, you're part of something so much bigger than you, bigger than me, bigger than the picture than they framed us to see. Like, the lyrics are just so expansive. They make you feel like an entire universe of your own. And so when I was driving back, I was listening to this music. I could feel an energy living through me. I don't know how to explain it. I know that I'm going to sound crazy because I'm not someone that is particularly spiritual, or maybe I am, I don't know. I'm not someone that is religious, but there has been some power at work this weekend. That is undisputable. And this is me from a very, I used to say, if I can't see it, I don't believe in it. A very logical person. If it's not in front of me, if it's not in black and white, it doesn't exist. But how I've been feeling lately, and there are days where I don't know how to explain it, but the feeling is so much bigger than me. Oh! And when those days are here, magic happens. Magic. And those aren't every single day, but the frequency of those days is getting more and more and more. It used to be once every now and again, and I'd be like, whoa, felt superpowers on that day. And I can pinpoint, this is how powerful they are, because when this feeling hits, I can still tell you where I've been when those feelings hit. Like there was one morning, I'd just done a workout, I was sat in a coffee shop, and I was listening to a song, and I was like, oh my God, I feel this song. And I went and wrote an incredible post, and I was talking about the post. You know the song Jericho? Something about, I will never fall, never stumble. That one. So, and I can picture what I was wearing, what was in the cafe, what was going on, what did I order? Like a light bulb moment, breakthrough moment. Yesterday was another one, driving on the bike. I mean, all of this whole weekend was a breakthrough moment. But driving on the bike, I can picture where I was on the road, what I was feeling, how I was feeling. It's like electric running through my body. It's like a level of awareness that is outside the normal realms. We are going on a crazy ride here. But I wanted to just share how expansive it is and how it feels when you land on the other side of a recalibration. Because there can be that period of friction and not really understanding what's not aligned or why it's not aligned until it clicks with you, and then the flow that comes. Oh my God. And I'm saying this now as someone that has experienced it twice. I know without doubt that this year is going to be absolutely freaking incredible. We're not just looking to grow this year. This year is going to be absolutely unexplainable. Woo! I'm excited. Because I know exactly what needs to happen, when it needs to happen by, and this is how I've planned the entire year now. I know what needs to happen, when, how, who, where, why, all of the things. So sharing this as someone that has been through a recalibration twice, if you can feel any kind of friction, or you're someone that wants to grow rapidly in the next 3 to 6 months, go through this, listen to this podcast again, go through the steps, take the necessary action so that you'll be able to be in conversations that are going to stretch you, environments that are going to stretch you, places that expand your mind and give you this self-awareness of either things that need to change within the business or things that need to change within you or what you're doing or how you're doing it, so that you can wildly change your growth trajectory. Is that how you say it? Trajectory in 2024. I hope that you've really enjoyed this episode and my crazy little weekend. I've loved telling you the story. If this has resonated with you, drop me a message on Insta. I'd love to hear what you thought of this episode, whether it was the storytelling at the weekend and just all the breakthrough moments, or whether there was one of the points of moves that I'd make if I wanted to recalibrate. There was something else. Oh, this is just a little offcut. Something that I shared in the posts that I posted yesterday. If you're listening to this on the Monday that it goes out, I posted a post yesterday about the weekend. Again, there was so many little consistencies that cropping up all over the place. So I'd seen that it was a leap year. I'd seen that it was a new moon. I was Googling, what does the new moon in February mean? And it was new moon in Aquarius. And I was like, what is that? And I was reading this post on Instagram that was about the new moon in Aquarius. When I tell you that post could have been written for me, it was crazy. There were things in there that I journaled about the day before. Was it the day before or Friday evening? Regardless, it had been the last 24 or 48 hours. Specific things that I journaled. And it was like, you need to be true to your vision at whatever cost. You need to be in full alignment with the future that you see for yourself. And just some really specific descriptions. And it's one of the things it said is, you need to take the action now and bring in the steps now so that when the new moon in Aquarius becomes a full moon in 6 months' time, you are living the reality of what you did now. Hear that again. This post said about the new moon in 6 months' time, start taking action now. And I was like, I have literally just posted moves you need to make, look at where you want to be in 6 months and start taking action now. I was like, what is going on? So that was just another little thing there. So I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. This has been a longer one, but I've really, really enjoyed it. And so send me a message on Insta, Sarah Buckland Coaching, if you're listening to this and you're like, either she's batshit crazy or I really needed to hear this today. Sending you all the love in the world. And if you're not already, join the She Scales community on Facebook. I'll drop the link underneath here so that you come inside the free community. Go live every week there. But in the meantime, I will see you next Monday for a new episode of the She Scales podcast. Toodaloo!